Oh yeah, so hello ladies and gentlemen, guys and dolls, and welcome to Half the Race Gone for yet another round of the Nukeshot Endurance Series. And we just had to turn off the computer sound there. Anyways, we are here at Tokyo. Once more, we are still doing this Japan only period here on Half the Race Gone, meaning that there's a lot of Japan at the moment. We've been to Kyoto in the Super GT, we've been to Suzuka here in the NES. We are going to Suzuka as well in the Super GT, and now we're staying here for 2 weekends also in Tokyo for this insane city course. Hard pressed to call it a street track, really. Of course, it is a street circuit, but being that it's built on some highway, motorway complex putting together, I don't know what to call it. Anyways, it is gonna be quite a blast, I think. Anyways, here tonight. It certainly is going to be difficult to keep up with all that action that's going to go down, because surely it is going to be quite wild. Thank you to Off Apple for that picture. Just didn't get around to taking one myself, so noticed that you had taken a really nice one there, and thought, yeah, why not just use it? The liberties you can take as a serious moderator, I suppose. Let's see if I get fired. And here he is, Off Apple. Hello to everybody else, basically, which I guess it's Snipperdini, Myers, Mr. 99. It's of course Mika, Ninja Karma. Hello to Y Bear. Yeah, it's good to see everyone. Joe as well. Let's get the fucking replay on the waist, guys, huh? Oh, watch my language. So sorry. Oh no, Houdini, that's not... That's of course it's Gugus. And that... I thought... Oh, good moment for me there, obviously. Well, anyways, as the replay is loading, yeah... Can I just say that I think everybody needs to get those those left index fingers ready on the F button, and right index finger ready on that enter. Preliminary Fs are needed here. I think it will be a festival of Fs. So let's just do everything here. Switch to the first guy, and let's do the grid walk. It is in pole position once again in the Toyota TS050. A driver who's really picked up the pace in the pro field here over the last couple of rounds. It is Armored Core in second position. It is the car of Joe of... No, of course it is not the car of Joe of the Fire. That is the car of CJ in the number 27 car. And then it is the number 25 automobile. Or is it? No, I'm quite sure it is Joe in the 27 and CJ in the 25. Yeah, I'm quite sure it is. Anyways, it's the two Vert Audis right behind. And then it is the two Porsches behind here with the number 42 car of Traels666. Just nudging down myself in the number 18 car to last place in class. And it was Joe second. So that's right. Trust your gut feeling, kids. In the GT class, it is Y-Bear on pole position, followed by Jim in the Audi R8. So very nice qualifying time from him there. Then it is, of course, the number 62 car, championship leader of Nilsemann 2002. Then it is a series organizer of Apple. He is in turn followed by French monster Ninja Karma. And then it is, of course, the young old boy Snipperator in the Porsche 911 followed by Mika in the Rotterdam Performance Subaru. It is Gugas in that very, very nice number 23 Martini BMW M6, or as I like to call it, the small mate. And then it is one of the two Greek Supras in, the second to last row. And I'd like to just hear from chat who's who of those two, because I really don't remember. Then it is Jermaine in second to last on that, in that actually very nice Rotterdam Performance, the second of the Subarus, and then the second of the Supras and that is Gagan, so it must be Nikos, the other one, and Gagan here rounding off the field. Anyways, that was the grid walk for today, and that means we should probably just get the action underway as Armored Core decides to just roll off the LMP field, and we've seen some interesting fuel-saving strategies deployed on the opening laps, with several of the LMP drivers actually switching off the engines by using a small dab to the handbrake every time there is a downhill section, and it does save that little bit of extra fuel. So as we're looking at the GT class, and should we just mention actually that it is the first time in NES history that we have been able to scramble a full grid of 16 cars, 5 LMP1s, and then 11 GT AM cars. So it's gonna be a hefty scrap there behind today for the the GTMs. And I'm sorry if I did mistake Jermaine for Mika and Mika for Jermaine, but I should probably just write the grid order down for the next race. To avoid looking so stupid every time having to ask who's who on the grid when I'm doing the grid walk for a race. Anyways, let's not stick along with that subject for too long. Ybear once more in pole position, but this time Jim, as I said before, with a really strong showing in qualifying. I would also expect the Audi R8 to be strong around this track here, so let's see if my predictions will be true on that one. And I think it was Gugas who pointed out that it would indeed be a very long warm-up lap here. It is indeed a long track, and it does certainly take a while getting around. The LMP cars going around at 100 kilometers an hour, and the GTs are only allowed to go around at 80 kilometers an hour. And that is, of course, to create some kind of natural gap from the start off, so we don't have any hugely chaotic scenes if any of the LMPs have a problem. So the track here, Tokyo Expressway, well, pretty much first time around racing this track, for me at least, in something that's not just a race against some AIs or something, so really had to learn it, and it is certainly the most punishing track of the season so far, at least. And I think it'd be hard fought to find a track that's worse. If you make any kind of mistake here, basically it will mean damage, and damage is not really anything you can live with for too long here, because there is the problem of losing straight line speed on that 2 kilometer start finishing straight. Yeah, it would be a shame to call it a blazing base lap. Anyways, we have the LMP drivers lining up now for the start. They are moving towards the pit lane entry, which is the point where they will be allowed to go. Basically, it is Armored Core choosing when to hammer it down, just trying to keep the heat in the tires. And here we go, they are off, so Armored Core getting a good start there, getting a little bit of a jump on Joe of the Fire. CJ very close, and Traels getting a really good start there, being able to stick his Porsche into the slipstream. Meanwhile, they're just losing a little bit of time, so still Armored Core, but having to go defensive down into turn 1. And it is Joe of the Fire momentarily through there on the outside. He sticks it through on the outside. That is a brilliant move. Armored Core gets a little twitchy there on the outside there, with Traels running a little wide, not seeming to pick up any damage. So Joe of the Fire with a blinding start in the Audi R18 Hybrid. Let's see here through the quick S's how they fare along. And of course, let us go and catch the GT start. As we have Y-Bear getting a very good jump on the rest of the field there. And it is Jim now challenging for the lead coming into turn 1. And there is a very big bunch up behind the two. Led out by Nilseman. I think that's Snipperator on the outside. Oh, and there's just the noise of massive contact. F's out for the rumble and bumble that was the sound of cars right behind there. So what a tightly bunched field there it is. Y-Bear just getting a little bit of a jump there, a little bit of contact there between Nilse and Y-Bear. Now Nilseman has taken the lead, so they are all bunched up. There's Snipperator now up into second position there, so really stuff going on. And at the same time in the LMP field, it is now Armored Core on the outside coming down towards turn 1 with CJ maybe looking to get involved there. He does go through on the outside and makes the same move stick as Joe did into him on lap 1. So that is brilliant driving there from Armored Core, really showing the talents and the speed of that Toyota. And now we are back to status quo still. Traels666 lurking behind in 4th position, but he is by no means out of it yet. So here it is still Nilseman, Snipperator, and then Jim lining out the GT class as we go on board to see the effects of the slipstream there. Snipperator obviously having got a really good exit because that 911 is just flying ahead in front, and he is getting the zook onto his compatriot Nilseman. The two Germans are going to be battling it out for the lead of class here, and you just see the flying Porsche there. Will the Corvette be able to tag along there? And I thought I would be able to access the rear camera. What a shame that I am not, or actually I should actually be. Yes, I am. So now Nils is looking to stick it back up the inside of Snipperator, and that was certainly a line that came out much more dirty than I intended it to in any way. Snipperator now taking the lead and keeping a hold of it as we come out to lap 3 here. It is myself pitting in with the first hint of damage there, so a terrible start. Super high top speed there on the back straight. Snipperator still in the lead, but Nils by no means out of contention. And Y-Bear having lost quite a bit of time now. He is in turn now in the company of Gugus, and Gugus will certainly be... Oh, it's a bit of sparks fly there. How much contact was there made? It is Gugus, then it is Nikos lining out Jermaine, Ninja Karma, and Jim behind. So Jim having fallen quite a way back actually, and he is down into, well, what must be... Well, that is 8th position in class, and having started in 2nd, horrible start for him. Armored Core now getting a very good run. He's picked up a good gap down to Joe of the Fire, and CJ is just lurking in the shadows of his teammate's car there. Traels666 having lost a little bit of time also. Seems to be out of the slipstream there on the back straight. As we join in for the brutal acceleration of the Porsche 919. And just to get those markers out of the way, sorry for not doing that before actually. Anyways, Traels in fourth, and he's gonna be struggling as the first round of traffic is underway. There is contact between, I think that was between Nilsemann and Snipperator. Snipperator getting pushed wide into the wall there. He is probably, I would believe, suffering some damage from that. Might be lucky to escape it. Armored Core seems to have gotten through the entire GT field, well, more or less cleanly and not having lost that much time. And hello to Pinkery. The race is an hour long. Should probably have written that in the description anyways. It is an hour of racing here. So Joe of the Fire with CJ very close behind as the two safely cleared the traffic, but as we have heard before from these two, there are no team orders, and I think we will see that in full effect right here. Armored Core once more making a run for it, and Armored Core is really on a winning streak here at the moment because he also won at the Yamagiva in the Super GT, in the TSR Super GT Championship, in which he's also participating, and he did it in same dominant style, just leading right from the off all the way through to the finish line with a dominant performance. So let's see if he will be able to pull off the same kind of trick here. He certainly already pulled out a nice gap there. Let's take a look with the GTs. It is still Nilsemann in the lead, and he is just trying to put the Porsche of Snipperator out of his slipstream. And let's see if Snip pits in to have any damage fixed. No, but he is certainly having lost some speed there. Also, the Mercedes of Wybear is certainly a fast car, and it will help Snip just being able to tag into the slipstream there. So let's see if Snip will be able to make any efforts to get back there. Wybear with a little bit of contact towards the wall as well, as we hear another heavy contact there in behind. Gugus and Nikos is now trading places around the back as yet more traffic arises in the back. And as this battle for second position in the GT class just goes on and on between the two former teammates, that is Wybear and Snipperator. As you see, one of the Porsches just ducking and diving, trying to find a way through the GT here. Very difficult section of the course to overtake any kind of traffic there. So Wybear getting away with that, seemingly not really having lost huge amounts of pace. Nilsemann seemingly, however, having lost a little bit of time over the course of that middle sector. And Wybear now looks a little bit closer than he was before. Gugus is having to do some defending from Nikos in the Supra, who's moved forward quite a bit away up through the field here in the opening parts of the race. So really strong driving from both drivers. Gugus also having gained quite a number of positions, and you would expect that BMW to have a pace advantage. Also, it is a very fast car as it is Nikos sending it up the inside and right past. But obviously the pace difference is so small that Gugus is still able to pick up the slipstream, and they might be trading places once more here as they come down towards turn one, and Snipperator just getting sucked in the Porsche 911, really lacking the top speed when he's alone. Coming into turn one, and they seem to be coming through here just fine this time around. Now Snip has a little bit of contact there And that might be damage to his rear left. Let's have a look further on behind. It is Mika having contact there behind. I think it was with Ninja Karma. Closely coupled up in a fight with Off Apple and Gagan also. So a lot of close battling going on in the GT class as Off Apple has a big contact with the wall there. And Ninja Karma goes right through, or does he even? He does not. It certainly was a bit of a deception because it looked like, well, he might not even have damage. Oh, he certainly does have damage now Off Apple. But it also seems like Ninja Karma has some kind of problem there because he is certainly losing a lot of speed up through these second S's. So a lot of close cars up through here. Off Apple. In front, it is still Armored Core, the dominant American, who's really had a strong pace. And he's got his lucky hazard lights on through the night. And certainly are funky in their way of blinking from side to side. Kind of an unusual thing for hazard lights to do, I guess. Joe of the Fire with CJ still right on his tail. And it looks as if they have been like this for lap after lap after lap. And Armored Core with a really good advantage there. So that looks to be going really strong in him now. Y-Bear has gotten past Nilse. And there is a real battle going down for the lead in the GT class as the two cars are blue flagged. That obviously don't mean that they are really blue flagged, but it is a really good warning marker as to when traffic is approaching. Oh, it looks like Nilse just like... Oh, Nilse has a big impact with the wall there. And that... Well, certainly not big enough for him to have any damage from it, and that is either, well, it's either a deception of a little bit of lag or something, or otherwise he could just be extremely lucky there not to pick up any damage. And it is possible to just brush the wall without picking up any damage, but any sort of heavy impact will cost you dearly. Especially if it comes in on the wheels and you pick up that suspension damage there. Y-Bear going a little wide, but Nils in turn getting squirmy on the exit there, going a little bit sideways. And Gugas is now closing up. He is now up into third position in class with Nikos. So stuff has definitely been going down before now as Nikos goes up. Aside Gugas. And the two decide to have a drag race with the Greek at a slight advantage. Now the advantage getting turned around by Gugas going back out on the outside. So Nikos, Gugas, and they are now harrying in on Nilseman in front. And they all get through turn one. It is just the corner that wants to kill you, coming over the crest as you just after the apex where you need the grip the most, and the car just wants to go into the wall. And much easier second time around where you really feel you can get early on the throttle. Now once more they go too wide here with a great scrap for third position there, and a great drive from Nikos also. Looking strong at the moment here with leader Armored Core coming up. Safe lapping done there. Oh, just as I say that, it looks to be a curse of the commentator moment. Nikos has picked up some damage there. Did that affect Armored Core as well? Did he hit him? Was there contact? I don't really know, but he certainly looks to have lost some pace up through there. As Nikos hits the wall once more. Armored Core has engine damage, has also hit the wall. Jesus, what is going down here? And I think Google's got cleanly away from all this, so he is the one who's gonna be at an advantage now. Nikos must be having to pit with that amount of damage. Well, I was about to say all 3 wheels. Only a single wheel or suspension with nothing, and then damage to both front and rear aerodynamics. So Armored Core pitting in. Joe of the Fire is pitting in with a little bit of damage as well, and that means with CJ also in the pit, it is all the 3 contenders for the lead in the LMP class in the pits at the same time. Let us see who arises the first. Looks to be Joe of the Fire there, just followed by CJ, who might have been going back and forward a number of times by the proximity of the 2 cars, because they are certainly very close indeed. And now it is CJ going to the outside, Joe on the defensive inside, but it is a hot one, making a stick in the same car there. He might try the cutback though. CJ pulling along up the inside. Is he gonna take it through? Yes, he is. That is a very hard move to defend, but Joe might have the exit. No, he just slots in behind. And now CJ up into the lead. And this one we caught a brilliant move. Great pressure through turn 1 and then executing the move, having set it up brilliantly. CJ executing it through turn 2. And Joe of the Fire just getting a very bad run through here, as CJ is just pulling away at this moment. We see that gap just appeared from more or less out of nowhere. And Armored Core a little bit of way behind, so he certainly lost some time on having to repair more damage than the other 2s. But so far he's had the pace, and if he'll be able to find that pace once more, he'll also be able to catch up to the 2 drivers in front. Now coming down the back straight, might be able to get inside the slipstream with the help of those GT cars. Just see Joe of the Fire staying behind Wirebear for absolutely as long as possible. And good evening to Stevie. Good to see you. Nice to have you with us here. And welcome to the action, might I say so today. It really has been a heck of a race here. Over 20 minutes gone. Already a third of the way through. And it felt like 5 minutes because of the intensity of things going on. There is a heavy scrap for the lead actually in both classes. We have CJ now leading, Joe of the Fire, Armored Core the pole setter, having a terrible incident there, getting engine damage. Now in 3rd position, but on the hunt for those 2. And in the GT class, it is Wirebear leading, Gugus now with Nilseman in 3rd position, Jermaine is up into 4th, and Mr. Off Apple rounds off the top 5 of the GT3s. So certainly a lot of action in the race today, and I think I can safely say that it has not been the last of it. A rest in peace to Sneberator, who's dropped out at this point. Nikos, after his bad luck and a lot of damage there, was just quite close to picking up a little bit more, but the GT cars certainly seem like they're just a tad sturdier than the LMPs concerning how much wall contact they can take before they pick up any damage. So that is Nikos, Ninja Karma, and Jim in the Audi R8 now really having some coming back to do, because Jim also was actually having he had a really promising qualifying run, ended up in 2nd position, and now he is quite a way down the order, in 7th position, that is, in class, I suppose. No, that's 8th, of course. But anyways, here we have the LMP battle has arisen once more because Joe of the Fire has caught up, right back up to CJ. But in turn, this section is just so hard to be right behind another car, especially in those LMPs, because of the dirty air from the car in front. Just does all sorts of black magics to the aerodynamics of your own car. And all of a sudden you might finding yourself just losing all grip. And as we see Joe of the Fire once more just losing a little bit through that middle sector there. And there is Y-Bear now with a little bit of damage to his car. He might just try to keep it running for as long as absolutely possible. It might be possible for him to keep on his pace if the damage is not too bad. Nilseman is clean and in second position now. So Gugas, I think Gugas has had a pit stop, and whether that was planned or not, that is hard to say. Kind of lost all notion of strategy here today because it's been so chaotic. But most cars I'd expect to be on two-stop strategies, so the pit window was open 5 minutes ago, around the 20-minute mark. We had all 3 LMP leaders in who basically timed their damage very well. Looked to be very close to the natural pit window anyways for these cars. So off Apple now in third position in class, as I mentioned before, and it's Nikas in fourth with Ninja Karma in fifth position. Jim is now up into sixth and will be looking to make even further gains in that Audi R8. And just listen to that lovely grunt of the V10 engine as we come towards the tunnel. It is certainly one of the best sounding cars, at least GT cars in the game, that Audi R8. Really a personal favorite of mine. And also a pleasure to be driving it in the Super GT series. Anyways, going down on the order here in 7th, it is Mika with Gagan in 8th position now, doing battle with Gugas, who looks to be claiming that. No, Gugas just sliding in behind and waiting a little bit with that overtake. So Jermaine in P10 rounding off the class at the moment. Out the front, it is still CJ, and he's put his teammate Joe of the Fire out of the slipstream, at least for the time being. Armored Core still has some catching up to do, but he is by no means out of it, and he's put in a strong pace here over the last couple of laps with a string of 139s, and that is certainly good, and it is also certainly faster than Joe of the Fire and CJ's been able to muster. So Armored Core is on his way back on the racing softs. It'll be interesting to see if there really is a difference, because Armored Core looks to be going faster on the racing softs than Joe and CJ is able to do on the super softs. Traels, he is in 4th position. He is trying to make it work for him, but he is a bit of a way back. Not as bad a situation in any way, at least, as myself. I in turn once more picked up damage, and I am a long way back already at this moment. And I might have mentioned this before, my race was so bad and such a forgettable race that I think I will never forget it. It truly was a horrible one. Anyways, let's have a look with the leader here, Y-Bear, and he is choosing to just ride out that damage. And, well, let's see if it plays out to his advantage or not. But it is just most probably a decision he has taken, looking at the lap times, looking, okay, how much am I really losing on this? And how much time would I lose taking an extra pit stop? Who in turn also would break up the strategy. And he has decided to just keep on running with the damage there. Nilseman still in 2nd position. He's looking strong now. Nikos up into 3rd position, just getting the better of Apple there in that situation. And that was certainly a good move. And as Mika has just pointed out, we are getting close to a minute within the half the race gone marker. Of course, that is not entirely true, especially today, as the effective race time is something just under 56 minutes. 55 minutes and 40 seconds with that long opening lap. Now off Apple getting maybe a little frustrated or something there. At least he got around to flashing his lights. Might also be an attempt to psych up his opponent in the battle for the podium there, as we have a couple of Wasp Audis there coming up, the Vert Audis there, as off Apple hits the wall in the battle for third position there. More so, it's gonna help Jim catching up. And Armored Core now also getting through cleanly. Traels is actually looking like he's quite close, unless it's my car just, and that is Armored Core hitting a couple of barrels, and those barrels are all over the place now. And mind you, they weigh quite a bit, those barrels, so barrels are out. In case you thought the track wasn't really difficult enough already, we see off Apple going into the pit for repair of that damage, but perfectly timed, as he probably didn't even have enough fuel to complete a lap. That was right on the 30-minute marker of the race. So well-timed accident there, Apple, good job. Joe of the Fire now having taken the lead from CJ there. And Armored Core having caught up, so now we have a three-way scrap for the lead of the LMP class here. And we are, in turn, only halfway through the race. Still 30 minutes of racing to go. So what kind of drama won't we be in for the rest here? That was a very nice tactical crash, I must say. Joe of the Fire having gotten away. CJ still all good, but he has Armored Core for company, and that Toyota is very fast around here. Just seems to be so agile, and a perfect combination of speed and agility through those high-speed corners here on this track. And Joe, I gotta agree with you. It's a why? Yeah, I don't know why you would put those barrels there, and they're both on the outside and on the inside, as far as I remember. And it's just, you don't really see him when you turn into the hairpin, and then all of a sudden, boop, there's a barrel. And yeah, they should put a yellow flag, and they should. Where are all the marshals who were actually supposed to get stuff like that off of the track? Anyways, it is now Joe of the Fire leading the LMP1 class, the LMP Pro class, with CJ in second, Armored Core getting ever closer. And this three-way scrap is looking to be a reality quite close. Bear, it is status quo for him, but Nilseman is certainly looking to get closer to him, and he is indeed also closing up quite quickly there. It is Nikos in third position, so strong work from him so far, and Jim having moved up to fourth position following the pit stop of off Apple, and then with Gugas in fifth. Now still with Joe of the Fire. And let's have the onboard view here through this insane part of the track. And look at the speed carried through this corner. And this entire section basically flat out up until the next S's. Ample opportunity for much death through this entire section there, as CJ has a scrape of the wall. And that'll be interesting to see whether that caused him damage. It certainly did. And that it's not only just aero, it's also suspension to the front left. So a problem there for CJ now, as Armored Core instantly gets close. Armored Core almost just makes contact, manages to just make his way around the back of CJ there. Lost quite a bit of time, and there was a still standing car there. So I'm struggling to find out which car that actually was. And now I suppose it's too late. Joe of the Fire, it was of course the car of Joe of the Fire, having hit one of the barrels and getting some heavy engine damage. So F's out for, well, it now former race leader Joe of the Fire, as Armored Core having overtaken CJ, reaching top speeds of 350 kilometers an hour down the back straight there. That is some serious speeds. Armored Core now back into the lead. CJ in second position, still on board with a couple of these drivers. And let's go back to the alternate cam. We could even go for standard cam for a bit of time. Haven't used that for a long time. CJ second position now. Joe of the Fire with a gap that's big enough to Traels and I that he doesn't lose a position, but it certainly will break up his rhythm, and it also certainly will not be helping his chances of reaching that top spot today. I think we should all get together and file a complaint to PD over those barrels, because no doubt this track is difficult enough for multi-class racing as it is. We don't need additional barrels, and to just make sure that they get rid of any other barrels in future updates, luckily, or maybe, hopefully, maybe even before we get so far. Maybe that's just dream thinking. They may also just screw us over completely and fill every new track with barrels. I haven't driven, or of course I haven't driven because it's not released yet, but the new South loop that has been showcased during the World Championship finals, didn't really see how many barrels that contain. It didn't seem to have any barrels, did it? It'll be interesting to see if they perhaps thought, let's get rid of those fucking barrels, or if they thought game needs more drama, needs more barrels. I don't know. I love to talk about barrels. It is now Y-Bear having gone into the pits, and that in turn has left Nilseman leading the GT AIM class. And Jim, having done really strongly to come back, he is now in second position with something around 10 seconds up to Nilsen in front. And still, Nikos is in third there. Oh, Nikos hits the pit wall! Mika, I'm sorry, shouldn't be laughing really, but and he gets reset onto the track because he reversed to get in the pits. Oh, that is something along the lines of the most F-worthy situation I have yet to see in this series, in this game, basically. Maybe even in my life, because he is gonna lose minutes of time, and that might be an exaggeration. He's gonna lose very, very large amounts of time, having to go around an entire lap with heavy engine damage. Incredible that he's even alive following that 275 kilometer an hour to a dead stop crash with a pit wall. And Joe mentioning that he might not be able to pit this lap either. I'm not sure of that. Yeah. Curb your pit entry indeed. Huge F there. We might not need to look at it the entire way around there. Armored Core flying through there. Really looking strong. He has put in the gap now. Joe of the Fire is back. And CJ having had some kind of problem. And that in turn opens up the fight for second position as we're closing in on the last 20 minutes of racing here for today. And that in turn also means that we're closing in on the last scheduled pit stop round, but it might be over actually in terms of pit stops for some of these drivers. They might have put on enough fuel to make it last all the way to the end. Yeah, and no doubt about that. A big applause for me also. I'm not gonna actually clap because that would be, yeah. But I agree. Carrying on after such an incident and then being forced to do an entire lap, an entire 7 and some kilometers at such a speed deficit on, on such a speed-based track. Oh, that is... Yeah. Yeah, that probably also would have been gloves off for myself. Mind you, I also had an absolute shit race. Shall we have a look at what I'm doing? I'm not having damage at the moment. So I'm surviving. I'm surviving at a much slower pace. But at this moment, I am surviving. Jim, having done a strong job so far, I must say, he is still in second position. But probably also closing up to that second pit window, as well as Nilseman is also at this moment. Gugas has some damage now, so he will also be looking forward to that stop window opening up. And Wybear is still just looking like he came out fresh out the pits. He is seemingly on a one-stop strategy that might be the right one for him. But at the moment he's caught up behind Gugas. And hello, Shomas. Welcome back from the World Championships. Lovely to have you along here as well. And a shame that you didn't go all the way. I was rooting for you with a lot of French fry emojis in the chat. Anyways, following here the battle between these two as Wybear gets the pass done. He is now up into third position and Gugas steps into the pits. So it'll be interesting to see whether Wybear will be able to make up positions on the two cars in front. Armored Core in turn is still just flying along. He'll also probably be looking forward to that pit stop round as his front tires are really starting to look cooked. Joe of the Fire still holding off CJ. Those two have basically been glued together all race. They got a gap between them when Joe got that damage. CJ obviously have had some problem in the meanwhile, and that put them right back together. And now they are as close as ever as they come round Wybear for the overtake. And doing it cleanly as well. And it really requires a stomach full of ice cubes and a head to be kept cool from all that ice on the stomach to be able to take this sector like that in these cars at speeds of almost 300 kilometers an hour. Then this S combination, such a difficult one to get right because it's so easy to just brake too much and take too much speed out of it before coming in. But in turn, trying to push it, well, then it's also really easy just to rear off to the left of the track and to make contact with that wall, and then all is lost. So Joe of the Fire getting a good run there on CJ, but it doesn't look to be entirely enough to put him out of the slipstream. As we have Jim into the pits, and let's see, that is, I was just about to say it's the time of a scheduled stop, but he did pick up some damage. Nilseman is out and he's now back into the class lead in the GTMs, and that means he has a slight advantage still on Wybear, but it is really only that, a slight advantage. And it will be super interesting to see whether these two will be able to just tag up along each other for the last 15 minutes or so of the race. So further down the order we have Gugas in P4 in class. He is at the moment on a bit of an island there. Mika in 5th position with Ninja Karma in 6th and Off Apple in 7th position at the moment. And then it is Jermaine in 8th with Gagan in 9th position and Nikas after that horrible incident running straight into the pit entrance wall. And with an entire lap following there with heavy engine damage, he is now in last position, close to teammate Gagan 15, so still might be able to make up a bit of space here and a bit of places also. final bit of the race. Armored Core there making the pass on Jermaine. Jermaine looked to get a little squirmy there on the exit of turn 2. As Armored Core is coming down towards the first S's here as we go on board. And this is the corner sequence that really separates the men from the boys, as we saw before. Also in the Audi, this is absolutely flat out. In the LMP cars, oh, getting so close to the wall there. Armored Core, oh, and there was the contact. And somehow, by some kind of, I don't know, black voodoo magic or something, he somehow manages not to pick up any damage from that scrape to the wall there. The battle for second position is, well, I've said it before, these two drivers are just so close here as CJ just gets the run here. He gets the inside line. They are side by side here. Oh, and CJ takes second position, so a great opportunistic move there from the Greek driver. And a strong one. As they in turn come up to pass one of the Toyota GTs. And it seemed like Joe of the Fire picked up a knock there. And he has a little bit of damage now, so... Oh, that might just be the turning point for this battle. Because CJ got through cleanly there. And that will put him at a big advantage now. And Joe of the Fire... Oh, he looks... It might be the car not wanting to drive in a straight line, but for me it was him just thinking, shall I go into the pits or shall I not? Instead he just goes for the overtake on CJ. Down into turn 1. And by the help of the slipstream he gets that one done, so strong move there. And great one there from Joe of the Fire. Let's see if CJ can come back into turn 2 as he's done before. Not this time around. And that might even compromise his exit a little bit. Oh, it looks like he got a strong exit anyway. Oh, as they're side by side here once more. Through one of the absolutely insane as Joe of the Fire keeps in second position there. Oh, that is strong. But the car looks really squirmy for Joe at this moment. And there is quite some understeer there. Armored Core is now into the pits. Oh, and was there more contact there? CJ still seemingly fine. Joe of the Fire doesn't seem to have picked up any more damage, but there was some sparks flying around. So an incredible battle to follow this one. Oh, as Joe just gets loose on the exit of the hairpin. And in turn, he'll be losing time all the way down for the next 2 kilometers. And that might be the pit queue. Will it be the pit queue? Yeah, indeed it is. As Joe of the Fire dips in to repair his damage. And he didn't have any more scheduled pit stop there. Would easily be able to run for the next 13 minutes. I think, of course, might have needed a little bit of fuel. He did put in a bit of, something equivalent to just 5 liters or something. Probably just to be sure and safe on that point. Nilse is still leading in the GTs. And Wybear is still right on his tail, pretty much. So for those two, it is still status quo. Jim is in third position, having had a strong race so far. The Brit, the returning... Well, old comer, I was about to call him, at least returnee from seasons gone past, and games gone past, consoles gone past, legacy stuff is probably what we'll call it. Anyways, it's really nice to have him back racing in the series, of course. Goog is still in fourth position. He's also had a bit of bad luck, so pretty strong position to be in for him in the small mate. Ninja Karma is in fifth in the Corvette. So even in the GT class, the race does seem to have settled down a little bit. Armored Core, he is packing a punch, and he's also packing quite the lead now down to CJ, who in turn, following the pit stop of Joe of the Fire now for the first time in what seems to be a long time for him, can actually maybe just relax a little bit and focus on getting some swift laps done. Flying down the back straight down towards turn 1 and turns 1 and 2 here. As we've mentioned before, especially the exit of turn 1's just so easy to get it wrong. So now having a bit of a relaxed situation for the first time in a very long time for the LMPs. Leaves only one real hazard left, and that is overtaking the GTs. And just as we're looking at GT leader getting overtaken by LMP leader Armored Core, it is of course Nilseman leading in the GT still in that RLA Corvette, with Wybear following close behind in the Nukeshot Mercedes AMG GT. And then rounding off the GT podium, also actually quite close behind, it is Jim in the Britannia R8. So still all things are open in the GT class, and actually a little bit more open than I thought a couple of minutes ago, but they are still quite close. As we have 10 minutes of racing left. Oh, now there Gugas still in 4th position. As we said before, it is also Ninja Karma in 5th. And Apple in 6th. And a lot of light flashing going on there from Jermaine. Mika in the darker of the two Subarus there. Oh, so the woke eyes of Joe of the Fire is right on point to know that CJ also came in for some damage in turn, meaning that once more they are closing up, and that must look like or sound like at least sweet music to the ears of Joe of the Fire. And the grass is now very much greener right through the next corner where he can see teammate CJ. So there still might be a scrap for second position. Oh, that was really close. And I don't know how CJ managed not to pick up anything from that one. See Joe of the Fire, he is really pushing it. He's really pushing it at the moment because just came in at, well, almost escape velocity when he came into the hairpin there. And that is certainly not what I wanted to do. No chase cam, please. Anyway, Joe of the Fire, well, it's no more than about, I'd say, a second or a second and a half. But he might just still be right outside the slipstream of CJ. Wybear now into the pits. Wybear has been into the pits, and that must have been to fix some damage, and that also in turn really compromises. Gugas is now also into the pits. And was that a planned stop? I have a hard time believing that. Must have been some damage also. He's now also a little bit further down the order, down into 5th position. Wybear in 3rd position in class now. Oh, Armored Core, Mika there, looking very, very sketchy there. And Joe of the Fire just trying to close that gap up to CJ. But still a bit of way up. Oh, as we have off Apple and Jermaine, and they are side by side coming down towards turn 1. And will the grunt of the BMW set 4 get it around? It's Jermaine on the inside. Oh, and they're still side by side as off Apple hits the wall and picks up damage. And that is battle pretty much over him. He's still really close though to Jermaine, who in turn also has damage, and they even have matching damage. So what a battle we're in for here. And that is Armored Core, LMP leader Armored Core. Oh, off Apple just getting a little twitchy there on the exit. Joe of the Fire is closing up ever so slightly on CJ now. Oh, he's certainly getting closer. And still just over 5 minutes of racing left. And let's go back to the battle between Jermaine and off Apple and see if we can just keep our eyes on everything going on now. A little bit of spread between the two. CJ and Joe also still a little bit of spread, but Joe absolutely flying in behind there. CJ having to push to the absolute limit. And it is really a pleasure seeing these LMP1s flying through the highways of Tokyo. So Apple now into the pits and Jermaine synchronized pit stop. Let's see who returns first. It looks to be Jermaine. It certainly was Jermaine now, even though I don't think he'll be able to put off Apple entirely out of the slipstream. So that pit stop turns things around a little bit, but it certainly won't be the conclusion of that battle, I think. And once more, we're just gonna check back into there with the CJ Joe of the Fire getting even closer now. And he's just looking for that slipstream there. CJ just gets obstructed a little bit upon the entry there. Mika. Oh, Joe of the Fire. He just got held up behind Mika, making a mistake there. And he lost a lot of time, I think, in that situation. Such a shame. And now Joe of the Fire flashing his lights. But that certainly cost him a lot of time. There it looked like he had to lift as well. So, such a bad luck for the race and for Joe of the Fire. For that battle for second, it pretty much puts it into the hands of CJ if he can keep it together for what will be, I think, 2 more laps. Thank you for asking, Joe. It's quite low. And you mentioned being glad that you put in a little bit of fuel there earlier. Well, turns out that you're gonna need every last drop of that fuel to make it to the line. There's a still standing car, and that is the car of Gagan now with heavy engine damage and having to do basically what his teammate did earlier today, and having to do, well, what is basically an entire lap around the track at super slow motion pace. Just accidentally pulled out the plug on my microphone there, so sorry for the weird sounds. Anyways, certainly a shame there as we have Jermaine and off Apple still going at it. And now having to overtake the car of Gagan there. Jermaine hits him, who in turns as a ping pong effect goes into off Apple. Jermaine picked up quite a bit of damage. Same goes for Apple, but actually Apple picked up less in this instance. And Actually, I didn't see that it's quite possible actually being in the position that he was. If he, I mean, what else could have happened? I think actually what happened was that both the Greek Supras managed to hit the pit wall. So that's quite something. Also quite a battle going down here with Fabel now challenging Jermaine. And this certainly looks to be going all the way to the line. And I'm not in a lap. I think they will just make it on to another one here. This one is certainly the last lap for Armored Core at the moment. And he has a very good gap down to CJ. CJ, who is running in behind Traels666. And it is in turn Traels666 trying not to get lapped, I think, by CJ at the moment. And I think just around there, Traels picked up a little bit of damage. Certainly not going to be aiding him in any way. So Nils is still looking like he got the advantage on Jim in second position, who's running around with a bit of damage, but he's going to finish the race with it, and he's going to finish the race strongly in second position, I think. Unless, of course, he really cucks it up here on the last lap with the Y-Bear coming in through the last S's now. It is Armored Core taking the victory here at the Tokyo Expressway for the Martini Racing Team. Strong one yet again from Armored Core. It is gonna be CJ coming home for second position here as he comes down towards the hairpin. Just going around the outside of Y-Bear there. Oh, as he gets squirmy on the exit. And in turn it is Nilseman right here getting across the line as well. He takes the victory once again in the GT class. As it's really been, getting quite habitual for him. Jim takes a strong second place here with Y-Bear in third position. Of course, CJ there passing the line in second with Joe of the Fire in third. Traels in fourth there. Myself having an absolute shocker of a horrible race there. Indeed. Ninja Karma, he gets fourth place with Gugas in fifth. One of the last running cars there just to get through it. It is, of course, Off-Apple nudging out Jermaine in 6th and 7th position, and then Mika in 8th, Nikas in 9th position, and Gagan with the exceptionally bad luck there. I think he just dropped out there at the end. So anyways, it's been quite the race, I must say. Yeah, it has been quite the race indeed. And as you can hear on my voice, it is almost sore. And I'm close. Oh, you actually ran out, Joe? Yeah, sorry for not catching that. A lot of stuff happened there at the end. But, so you did run out. Yeah, you should have put on more fuel then. So, it was certainly a very, very eventful race. And there was stuff happening left, right, and center, basically. And of course, yeah, we must also have missed some kind of action, but did my best to, as always, catch as much as humanly possible. But yeah, it certainly was an exciting race, and surely I think it's gonna be just the same next week when the AM drivers will be in the LMP cars and the pro drivers will be in the GT3s. That is gonna be an absolute cracker of a race. Smash that like button, peoples. If you haven't yet, do remember, and I haven't said that actually at all, this is a first. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, why not do so? That way you'll be sure not to miss any of our broadcasts, any of our hugely entertaining, fantastic broadcasts here on Have the Race Gone. Anyways, thank you so much, all you guys. You have been absolutely amazing in... I just pulled the shameless plug and now everything is just flying out of my mouth. You've been amazing in chat. You have been really active and it's been a lot of fun having you along. Always such a pleasure with the humorous contact. The humorous contact, I'd say, the humorous content that you deliver. Certainly love it. So, thanks everyone for today. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a great pleasure. Of course, do join us on Wednesday when we visit Suzuka in the TSR Multi-Class Super GT Championship. So as I said, Wednesday evening here on Half the Race Gone. And of course, in a week's time, when we will be back for round 6, race 2 of the NES, do also click back. And I think all there is left to say is until then, have fun, take care. My name is DirtenDK. It's been an absolute pleasure. And with that said, bye bye.